The views and opinions by the host do not reflect that of the guest and the management. Furthermore, the views and opinions of the guest do not reflect that of the host and the management.
Hello, my name is Harry Tamboatco and welcome to the program. Now, at this point, I thought I could expect it's going to be a regular programming wherein I would bring in a guest or two and talk about a specific issue. But hang on, we are at the beginning stages of IDP channel wherein I have been given the opportunity to introduce the many hosts that will be hosting multiple programs and multiple topics, all experts in the fields. Let's see, they are not specific broadcast celebrities who look pretty to try and do a song and dance. They live the expertise that they convey and how they help the country as a whole. Our first guest right here inside the studio, we have Edwin Monares, who will talk about local governance, of course the environment, you've got climate change, but most specifically, we've been talking about, which I didn't realize, how does one person come into government and know what to do? It's okay if you've been in government. Let's suppose that you're a mayor and you come in, you're now a governor. That you would know because, well, within the first 30, 45 days before you're proclaimed, you would have already gone to the bank, for example, signed in your signature, not just your personal self, but within the authority of the position you've been given a mandate to. Do they know how to do this? And then go back to the specific local government or national government, regardless of whatever mandate positions they get into. For example, the very celebrated Robin Padilla, who's won #1. I mean, gee, with the amount of votes that he's got, he's competing with the vice president and the president of past. But nevertheless, would he know unless someone beside him who would know how to go about that? Those are just one of the topics. Is that correct, Edwin?
Yes.
And welcome to the
yes,
show.
my pleasure to be with you, Harry, and I'm so excited meeting also our audience.
Yeah, well, it's something new, Edwin. It's something new because now it's going to change. Things are changing very quickly, and you and I discussed this earlier. Naiiba na eh, ang social media, nagiging broadcast media na. We're no longer under the thumbs of the gargantuan networks whose specific interests dictate whatever we speak about. Di ba? Tama?
Yeah, I agree.
Kaya naiiba
you
na.
know, ngayon kasi with the social media and of course the controlling media as I call it.
There you go. Yeah.
Itong social media minsan mahirap yung mga content. Yeah. And here you go, Harry, and then you're introducing this, where our hosts will be experts in their own field.
But it's true. You live it.
That's
it's
true.
It's not for anything. I'm not asking you to do this. This is your life.
That's true.
Edwin, before we continue, ladies and gentlemen, we have a third guest who is also a host, this time coming from the field of agriculture, who is a professor, another PhD holder. Let's see. The difference with this person who's so involved with agriculture, teaching, the academe and whatnot. He writes multiple papers. He does a lot of different stuff. Now, the thing is, he's not with us in the studio, but thank God IDP has this facility where we can bring in hosts who are not necessarily inside our studio. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce and bring into the screen Dr. Ted Mendoza. Hi, Ted. Can you hear us? Are we on? I can see your face right there.
Very well. Good afternoon to everybody. Good afternoon to our co-hosts, Harry and Edwin. Oh, it's a different life right now. This is my first time perhaps to host a program like this, to discuss topics close to my heart. And hopefully I will be able to reach out as many audience as possible to explain what is going on in agriculture, in our food systems, why prices are increasing, what to expect, and what can be done.
Well, one of the issues right now, which the President has just taken on to task, handa na ba tayo? Should we join RCEP? Now, hang on. Let's not get into that right away, Dr. Ted. Let's put that in your show, okay? Because obviously that's going to get technical. And knowing you, the academic in you, the academic animal in you, you're going to have to try and explain into easier terms for all of us to understand, di ba? The plight of the farmer, the cost of the binhi, the transportation, the distribution, the age of the farmer, di ba? And that sort of thing. Anyway, at this point, Dr. Ted, I'm going to open up the floor. There's three of us now. We'll discuss all the whatever issues that are going on. I'll start with Dr. Edwin here. What will be your first show? Anong gagawin mo muna? What are you going to dwell on?
You know, Harry, the election was just concluded, and here we have
Si Lenny nanalo, di ba?
See?
Si Lenny nanalo?
No vice president.
You don't see me, but I'm pulling his leg. But go ahead, sige.
Yeah, so, you know, we have 81 provinces, 148 cities, 1,433 municipalities, and all of those LGUs had either new or old, but a lot are new. No? By virtue of expiry of their term.
You mean on the
of
local
office.
government
Yes,
side?
on the local government side. Just imagine how many leaders have we elected in this election. But sadly, we don't have a university that graduates Bachelor of Science in Governorship, or Bachelor of Science in Mayorship, and Bachelor of Science
Di
in...
ba may ano yan? I think para sa Senado and I think representatives, meron sila yung DAP, di ba? Where they go to Tagaytay in that, I'm trying to figure what
Actually, it's a
acronym.
local government academy.
Okay. Meron local
Meron
government
sila,
academy.
DILG, yes.
Okay.
However, the problem is, you've got to be trained only few months after you have taken your oath.
So nasa loob ka na.
That's right.
Paano mo pipirmahan ng mga cheque ng payroll? Pag hindi ka pa rehistrado sa bangko.
Just recently, Harry, I was consulted by a newly elected mayor. He was a congressman then, but he ran for mayor and won. But admittedly, he told me, I don't know executive. I know legislative, but I know executive. So what would I do? And I told them, you know, the core staff, the transition has two components. It's the turnover that they're agog of, and the takeover. But I am more on the takeover because turnover are just paper. But the turnover, because government does not stop. At 12:01 in December, on June 30, they're gonna be the most powerful people in their person, in their own respective domains.
Is that a natural occurrence? Every other 3 years?
Yes, yes.
So it happens.
It happens. That's why, Harry, we have here a problem. Me, as president of Global Zenith Research and Consulting, and I am
Say that again slowly.
Global Zenith Research and Consulting
Oh my gosh,
Incorporated.
okay.
No, I do campaign management and then government solutions, and I am concentrating on local government. That is why there are a lot of mayors, no, who has high hopes, high ideals, all of this vision, but when they got to be elected, they don't know what to do. So it's now the bureaucracy that controls them.
Baliktad.
Yes.
Ted, now that we have someone in government who can now coordinate with us, what do you think? Maybe now your position papers and your studies, your research of years on end since I've known you, at least may contact na tayo, no? Kung sino lalapitan kung paano. Di ba? One of the hardest parts is to be able to actually get an introduction, even though local government, may budget na, may gumalaw na legislate na from the national government going down. Alam ba ng governor? Alam ba ng mayor? Sa probinsya niya, may mga lupain siya that involve agriculture. Or do we revert back to the DA secretary now and just import everything again? What's your point, Ted?
Well, maganda na meron tayong network na ganyan na which would have a link or direct link with local government officials. Insofar as agriculture is concerned, alam naman natin naka-devolve ang Department of Agriculture. Palagi ko ang sinasabi, a Secretary of Agriculture is a general without an army kasi hanggang sa regional level lang siya. Ang talagang mahawak ng agriculture ng mga tao ay nasa provincial down to the municipal and city level. So ang command ngayon ay nasa governor kasi siya ang may command sa provincial agriculture officer and down the line the mayors. Yun naman ang mga platoon commanders who have command on whom we call municipal agriculture officers and staff. So maganda kung nakakalink siya sa diretso sa governor, and then of course kung siya ay nag-a-advise o binibigyan ng instruction ang mga governors, ang mga mayors, tayo naman, me on my part, maganda siguro mag-complement na kami, diretso na, mapipinpoint ko na sa kanya kung ano ang magandang agricultural systems, food systems sa kanila. Take note, we are an archipelagic country. Sabi nga niya kanina, 81 provinces. But take note, our provinces are not contiguous. We have how many islands? 7,100 islands.
Hindi, di ba sabi ni Lenny, we only have 711 islands? Go ahead. I was just trying to be funny. Okay.
So another angle of food security na titingnan natin, paano ang food security nitong mga island provinces, municipalities or villages? Especially with climate change or whatnot, pag nagkaroon ng sakuna, paano marireach out? Na-experience na yan nung bagyong Odette, hindi nila alam kung paano i-reach out yung mga connected na mga islands o mga municipalities, ano ang kanilang needs, so on and so forth. So malaki pong issue ang food security. Kahit ganyan, nandyan na yung pagkain, nandyan na yung supply, how do you make it available to all? Parang ganun, no? Tayo dito sa Metro Manila o NCR o dito sa Calabarzon, contiguous ang island dito. So ang magiging problema na lang na sinasabi ng mga tao, prices, kasi nga pag tinamaan ng gulay ng Benguet, ng Bagyo, natural lamang po na biglang tataas, mag-shoot up yung presyo ng gulay doon. And then of course other factors like tinamaan ng ASF, ang baboy, paano naman ang supply, kaya nagmamahal, and many other factors. Ngayon, pumasok naman itong biglang pagtaas ng presyo ng langis dahil nga dito sa tatlong factors. Of course, ang pinaka-critical yung ang Russia-Ukraine war crisis natin. Hindi natin alam kung kailan sila matatapos. Of course, yung rising consumption because na post-pandemic, nag-normalize na, mga tao bumibiyahe na, gusto nila lang mag-travel, kaya buhay ang tourism, buhay ang industry, so on so forth. Tumataas ang consumption ng lahat. So, buhay ang economy, but at the same time, malakas ang consumption po ng resources, particularly energy.
Dr. Ted, let me cut you there. Do you agree with all of that, Edwin?
Yeah, I do agree, no? Lalo na yung sinabi niyo po na ang Department of Agriculture ay isang general na walang army. Totoo po yan. With the advent, I am the current administrator of the province of Capiz.
The army of DA now is Mr. Import.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah, no? With the advent of the ruling of the Supreme Court,
yes,
maybe in my programs I will have this discuss on the details, the impact of this. This is the Garcia, who's this from Batangas, Mandanas ruling.
Dudu Mandanas.
Where the Supreme Court ruled that we have to fix the internal revenue allotment and that it will include now all of those internal revenues. That's why, in effect, the share in the local revenue of all LGUs up to the barangay level will increase. However, on on that ruling, the executive got to somehow had a chance to again give all of these powers and programs and projects to
devolve it.
devolve completely to the local government units.
Dr. Ted mentioned the problem was, for example, the being archipelagic and all the different islands and all the different municipalities. Yung mga more far-flung. So may crisis, may nangyari, nagkagulo, pumutok ang bulkan, kung ano man, di ba, nangyari, nagkagera, ano. How do we reach them? Isn't there a system already? Akala ko meron ng NDRRRRRRRMC, then meron pa yung parang handa na. Yung nangyayari, as of the last disaster, parang it took 4 or 5 days, nahihirapan eh. Is that the devolution of authority or is it the incompetence of the sitting local government?
Well,
or both?
It can be both. No?
Can be both.
Kasi supposed to be when we talk about food security, you also look at some things that happen, no? Like all of these storms, no, calamities. But at the end of the day, the RA 7160, the Bible of local governance, actually is so explicit in the services that is required in Section 17, agriculture is the first. Even in the municipality, the city, and the province.
And yet agriculture doesn't seem to have really taken off until now.
And you know what's funny? I asked the local government officials, the newly elected and all, and those that are actually
kung naintindihan nila agriculture.
If they have read already Section 17, zero.
Do you think that even the new or even the politicians of today even have read the Constitution of the country? It makes me wonder. Dr. Ted, you're laughing. I can see you here in the monitor on the station. Do you think many of them have even read the Constitution or they rely on the newspapers that tell them what's going on? Uy, may bagyo pala dito sa Municipality X. Yung pala, it's been 2 months old. Di ba parang ganon? What is wrong? Is it a system error? Edwin says it can't be because there is a book. It has been identified. If I'm not mistaken, the local government code was created in 1991 through Senator Pimentel pa, the old man, di ba? So to speak. And yet, 30 years later, they're feigning ignorance of the system. As you just said, you were mentioning, Dr. Ted, na how do these municipalities far-flung, how are they reached? How do they get the food? How do they face disaster?
So, maraming factor po yan, pero isa-isahin muna natin. Ano po, bakit ganito ang status ng ating agriculture ngayon? So, siguro tingnan natin, historical ito eh. Mula pa sa simula, medyo nasa backseat talaga ang agriculture. Inattempt ng ilan, like nung panahon ni Marcos, tinry niyang gawin din, improvise, pero hindi rin nag-succeed ultimately, napag-iwanan din. Merong maraming attempts noong mga 1990s na nagkaroon tayo ng Magna Carta for small farmers, naka-define na doon kung anong dapat gawin sa mga magsasaka kasi nga nagkaroon ng agrarian reform, lumiit ang ating mga bukid, ang claim ng iba na wala ang economies of scale. Tinry natin mag-implement ng cooperative pero hindi nag-succeed ang madami. So hindi naging ano. But we have a model law na napakaganda na sana yun ang panagot sana nung mag-join tayo ng GATUR or WTO. Ito yung AFMA, Agriculture and Fishery Modernization Act. Napakagandang batas noon pero ang naging problema, hindi po siya naponduhan. Nung i-compute ko yung backlog sa funding ng agriculture through that AFMA, maabot ng mga 200 billion na ang hindi nabigyan noon. Kasi yung first year niya dapat 20 billion, next succeeding year dapat 16 billion per year ang budget niya, pero hindi na ibigay. So yun sana yung safety nets natin para sa WTO noon para mag-develop. Ngayon, dito nga sa article ni Fermin Adriano, yung Undersecretary ni Secretary Dar, talagang napag-iwanan tayo ng ibang bansa like Thailand, na about 44% sa kanilang budget ay for agriculture, tayo less than 2%, yung mga ganon. And then ang sinasabi ko naman palagi, agriculture is not a stand-alone industry kasi starting from planting, kailangan mo ng makinarya, machineries. So wala naman tayong ginagawang makinarya, machineries. Ang mga fisher folk natin, hindi naman sila maglalakad sa itaas ng dagat. Kailangan sila sumakay ng bangka. Wala naman silang motorized bangka na pwedeng pumalaot, so on and so forth. On the one hand, sana natugunan na yan kasi meron tayong batas, yung AFMEC, Agriculture and Fishery Mechanization Act. But at the same time, hindi po siya nalagyan ng pondo para makagawa ng mga equipment, ng mga machine and tools to support our agriculture industry. So, marami pong sangkap ang agriculture. So, hindi siya umulad. May mga specific researchers na dapat gawin pero hindi rin pinondohan. Yearly, nag-i-import tayo ng about 50 billion pesos worth of soybean. To be fair or unfair kay Secretary Dar, paano gagawin niya doon? Hindi tayo nag-produce ng soybean. Wala akong data kung magkano ang importation natin ng wheat or wheat flour. Hindi rin tayo nagtatanim ng wheat or dito sa ating bansa. Of course, pwede naman tayong magtanim pero kung hindi ka gagawa ng research to develop the varieties, cultural management practices for these two crops that are largely imported, ano pong mangyayari? Poultry, yung broiler natin, wala rin ho tayong breeds na na-develop for our poultry, for our broiler and lahat ni-import natin. At the same time, ni-import natin yung feeds, yung mga antibiotics, ng mga bakuna na ginagamit for poultry production. So, kung sasabihin po natin, tayo ay puro imported na lang, hindi naman po ito ay bago para sa atin. Sabi nga ninyo, taga-academic o taga-researchers, kinompute ko how much is the import cost component ng mais, for instance, o ng rice. Ang import cost component po, kasi sisimulan mo siya sa fertilizer, puro imported yan. Yung makina na ginamit, imported yan. Yung oil na ginamit, it's about 56% ang import cost component niya. Ang livestock, kinumpute ko yung feeds, vaccines, so on so forth na pinapakain yan, umaabot po ng 72% ang import cost. We have been doing this for the last 50 plus 20, 70 years.
Edwin, let me cut you there, Dr. Ted. It's obviously not legislation.
Yeah.
Because lumabas na yung study.
Yeah.
So, hindi naman hindi binibigay yung pondo. So, nailabas yan. Pag na-legislate yan, someone has to knock on the door of the executive.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
where is the money for this project?
That's right.
And then from there, it's diverse and devolved going down. So whose fault is it? Local government? National government? Well, if legislation has already done that, who are we going to go after?
Actually, it's a systemic thing, sir. Kasi unang-una, kahit may batas, kung hindi lalagyan ng pondo ng Congress, wala rin. So kahit batas yan, kung hindi naman lalagyan ng pondo, dahil ang nalalagyan ng pondo, lalo na pag na-bicameral, ay yung mga insertions ng ating mga senador at congressmen, kung ano lang gusto nila, so there's the problem. So pangalawa, the local government is designed
I'm a bit confused, Edwin.
Okay.
Because if it is legislated,
Yeah.
lumabas na, napag-aralan na,
That's right.
at napirmahan na yan, it's law.
Yeah.
Bakit? So, in other words, the law
Mandates.
does not follow. Yeah, it mandates it.
For
But
funding.
the budget that is given is not automatic just because it's a law.
That's right.
Is what you're saying.
That's right. Because
So
even if
unang
there
barrier
is a
yan.
law,
Yan.
this is true in the national local government. Even if there is a law telling you that this should be the priority and it's mandating that this should be the amount to be allotted But in the
But appropriations, is it legislation? Di ba executive yun?
no, the budget has four stages. First is budget preparation, and then that budget preparation is just a proposal of the
Right.
executive, and then it will be authorized by Congress. So Congress has that power to slash, to put it zero,
Okay.
and to make
Regardless of the law,
regardless
that's-
of what the executive has done.
Okay.
Okay, so if the executive fails, as it's not their priority, how much more to Congress? Even if it's the priority, if Congress doesn't like it, then sometimes it will pass in the House. That's why I am for unicameral parliamentary. Even if it passed in the House, then the senators who think they are presidents also under the republic, 24 republics, sitting in the Senate, they can block it.
So nangyari, a conflict of interest built into a system to make sure nothing moves.
Well,
Parang ganun eh.
you said it right, perfectly
Diba?
right.
Yeah.
That our people should know, so that when they get to elect our congressmen and senators and our president and vice president, they should be asking this hard question.
It reminds me of an item I read. If I'm not mistaken, it's Tesla. What's his name? Elon Musk, right? He says, the problem with most corporations and manufacturing is, number one, complexity. It's too difficult. Too many things can't seem to work because it's so integrated, it is so check and balance, hindi na tuloy gumagalaw. And then, of course, there's the integrity of the system that is created, which does not work because the complexity of how the system works is already cut off. And finally, the actual execution where there is none. So there is no output. Then a corporation is messed up. Parang ganon. So maybe we've had too many laws, too much legislation that you can't any longer move. Di ba, Ted? Parang ganon eh. You were saying you came up with the issues of a law that's already been presented, studied, umandar na, dumaan na sa legislatura, and yet walang nangyari.
So, yun po ang dilemma o yun ang trahedya sa ating bansa. Well, agriculture is a basic industry. Well, in US, sabi nila ang agriculture daw is only contributing up to 5% of their GDP. But if someone studied it and look at it in the food systems, it's about 57% na. Dito sa atin, ang sabi ninyo, ang sinasabi, ang contribution ng agriculture sa GDP is now down to about 9%. Pero sometime, pinag-aralan nila din sa food system, ang agriculture is contributing up to 46% ng ating GDP. So ang gusto ko lang ipaliwanag, agriculture or food is the mother of all industries. Kasi kung hindi umandar ang agrikultura, hindi rin aandar yung mga factories, hindi aandar yung trucking industry, hindi aandar yung food system that support the food requirements of those people involved in the industry. So yung mga ganun po.
So simple lang. So simple lang, Dr. Ted. Kung walang pagkain, wala, patay tayo lahat.
Yeah.
Yun po ang pinakasimple doon. Okay? Pero kung imamakro mo ngayon at tinitingnan mo ano ba ang agriculture, yung contribution niya sa economy, ay talagang napakalaki po. Okay? And then later on, pag-uusapan naman ng climate change, yun din ang dahilan. Kaya ang food system natin, ang agriculture, yun din ang pinakamalaking contribution sa greenhouse gas emission, no, in the food systems. No? Kinumpute niya ng Great Internal.
Ikaw, si Dr. Edwin, you agree with that, of course, food's number one. And yet, you involve yourself with local government. Why is it these people, given the mandate, who are supposedly the leaders, can't seem to fathom the concept that we require food sufficiency?
Well, sir,
alam naman nila.
Yeah, speaking from my
Your experience.
training and experience, no, it's all politics. You know,
Dr. Ted, di naman natin nakakain politiko eh.
Hari.
Kaya ba kainin politiko?
Ito, Hari. Down the ground, may pera. Kasi ang local government may pera.
Wait, lalabas ko na. Baka nasa bulsa ko yung pera eh. Sige.
May Hari. dun sa prioritization kung saan ilalagay nila sa bato at semento. Kasi kung maglagay ka sa agriculture, hindi yan pinapansin ng tao.
Hindi nakikita.
Hindi nakikita yan ng tao. Ang nakikita nila, mga daan, mga
Yung skyways.
skyways.
Hindi. Yung bagong building ng Senado sa BGC.
Ayan. So, lahat bato at semento. At, syempre, sa agrikultura, meron ka bang komisyon?
Wala ba?
Wala. Mas malaking komisyon sa horizontal at saka vertical na ginagawa mo.
So we're down to the system. The problem before food is politics.
Kasi, higit na pangailangan ng food. I don't know kung anong food ang kailangan itong nasa politika natin. No?
You agree with that, Dr. Ted? Politiko ang problemahin dapat?
Ano ako magdi-disagree doon, sinabi na ng ating expert na talagang
No, hang on. This is not a dictatorship. Karambola tayo. We can say what we want.
Yeah. But, we can disagree if only to agree. Okay? Kasi bakit ganun ang nangyayari? So, ang point naman, meron din tayong mga local government officials or mayors na talagang tinutugunan ang pangailangan ng kanilang mga constituents. Alam po ninyo ngayon, meron tayong about 200 mayors of cities and municipalities. Nag-organize sila, they call it League of Organic Agriculture Municipalities and Cities in the Philippines. So tinitingnan nila ngayon, ilang taon na ba yun? About 10 years na rin ang ano nila. So they're promoting yung pagtatanim nga na hindi magastos, na tamang-tama naman ngayon sa states na ito na biglang tumaas ang halaga ng fertilizer, ng oil, so on so forth. At doon nga sa isang town doon, ang kanilang campaign, farms not arms. So yung mayor tinutulungan niyang makakuha ng bukid, yung mga surrenderies o yung gustong mabuhay ng tahimik, ng mga nag-armas na. So yun po ang kanilang ginagawa. So hopefully dapat mag-spread na yon, and all of our provinces, ma-elevate na rin sa provinces. Yun na nga ang isang sinasuggest ko doon sa aking isang kaibigan na kumandidatong governor. Unfortunately, hindi naman siya nanalo, na i-organize na namin yung League of the Philippines to help our farmers pursue low external input agricultural systems, kasi nga napakagastos ang ating pagsasaka ngayon dahil nga tinuruan ng magsasaka na gumamit ng chemical fertilizer na hindi man ginagawa, tinuruan na magtanim ng mga seeds na hindi naman sila ang nagpo-produce ng seeds. Kaya ito po ang ina-address namin ngayon. Dapat sana sa isang bukid, pagpasok mo, ang sinasabi natin ay wala ka nang hahanapin pa. So ibig sabihin, nandun na ang yung pagkain. So sa ating kanta naman, nandun na yung sa kultura natin, yung kantang bahay kubo, na kung bibilangin po ninyo ang gulay doon, there are already 18 crop species na nandun na ang tamang nutrisyon, nandun na balance ng diet na yon. So yun po ang sana matutukan ngayon.
Can we actually produce all the fertilizer, the seeds? Sa bagay, where's that American company that provides you the seeds and you can only use their seeds? Diba? I mean, that we have to, I guess, get away from, no? I'm trying to remember the name of that manufacturer. But is it possible that we be self-sufficient in the whole cycle from the fertilization of the field, of the crop, all the way until the actual crop is na-ani na harvest, and that it's ready for the table? Is it possible we be totally self-sufficient?
Meron akong isang model, Harry, ang Butuan City. Kakapadalo lang niya ng Bloomberg.
Wow.
No, champion city of the world.
Wow, Butuan,
so, yeah, Butuan City. And the mayor there is really into agriculture. Not that he's an agriculturist, but he katulad ni Doc Ted, ang tinitingnan niya yung mga tao na naghihirap na kung talaga may pagkain lang sila, then sana hindi sila maghihirap ng ganon. So, merong mga technology ngayon no, na friendly, like Lowres, no, na perfect na sa lahat ng mga sinalihan ng private company niya. No, na lahat ng derby ng rice, lagi silang panalo sa buong Pilipinas. At gumamit sila ng isang technology na low-all, no, hindi ito parang organisms dito, no, na nilalagay mo lang
Walang import.
Yes,
Walang import.
Walang import. Pinaparami lang ito ng mga organisms, ilalagay mo, then mag-grow yung palay the way na ma-maximize yung kanyang yield.
You agree with that, Doc Ted? Because you're actually practicing it in your backyard, literally.
Yung collective term na ginagamit po namin doon ay organic agriculture. So ibig sabihin, we're not using any more synthetic chemicals, synthetic compounds. And the science behind it is what we now call agroecology. So ibig sabihin, tinitingnan natin how we can do farming with nature. So pwedeng-pwede po. And there are growing number of organic farmers in the world. This year nga is the 50th year anniversary of IFOAM, International Federation of Organic Agriculture Movement. Isa nga ako sa naimbitan na magsalita para sa ating bansa. I represent the country now to be the speaker of IFOAM. So yun po ang theme ngayon for this year. At least nag-survive ang organic agriculture movement at dumami yung mga nagpa-practice, and it's a booming business. Marami nang naghahanap ng organic food because ang theme doon, let be our food our medicine and not medicine our food. Kasi nga,
Dr. Ted, your face is being cut with your screen. There you go. You're a good-looking man. Going back to Dr. Edwin. Since we already know it, and the answer is yes.
Yeah.
He calls it organic, whatever, but basically the key word being organic. So yes, it's self-sufficient, meaning you're creating whatever germicidal, whatever fermentation is required, and yes, it does exist, and yet, we're not doing it. Why are we forcing the issue to import? I don't understand. I'm not an agriculturist.
Hari, alam mo,
nahihirapan ako.
Systemic ito at isa dito, no? Kinanta kanina yung bahay, kubo, kahit munti, at napakaraming mga gulay. Pero alam mo, sir, kung ano ang, alam mo, Hari, kung ano ang sumira dyan, isang kanta din.
Ano?
Planting rice is never fun. So, ang sa baba, ang mga magulang, ibibenta nila yung
Lupa.
mga lupain nila. Kasi sasabihin, anak, ayoko matulad ka ng tatay mo na tingnan mo, no? Kasi ang sa kanila, ang ipini-implant sa mga kabataan natin, agriculture is a hard job. At dapat pumunta ka sa Maynila, mag-aral ka para dun ka pumirma ka lang, no? Tapos aircon.
So again, DepEd has failed.
Yes.
You
This
agree
is
with that?
education.
I will disagree with my
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. This is not an election.
ang nangyari po kasi ang rice natin ay talagang napabayaan. Okay? If you go to Japan, mga rice farmers doon, ang kanilang level, executive sa Tokyo. Why? A kilo of rice in Japan will be worth 400 to 500 pesos. Ganon din sa Korea. So, magkano naman dito sa atin? Harry,
50.
I send
17
you-
pesos. Kakabenta ko lang yung rice, 17, lugi ka. Yung 3 hectares ko sa Butuan, lugi-lugi ako, sir.
I send you my paper on total cost and fair accounting of rice.
You sent it, yes. I have a difficulty understanding the stats that come onto it. You throw a lot of numbers and you're probably correct, and I am not out to say no, right, whatever, but it needs, alam mo, it's easier to read, but to comprehend is another story.
Doc Ted.
Tapusin ko lang yon.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Presyo ng ating bigas ngayon ay ranging from 11 to 13% lamang doon sa kanyang total cost. Okay? na ang range niya is from 280 to 315 pesos per kilogram. Tingnan po ninyo yung total cost niya. Ang majority ng cost ng rice natin na hindi ini-include yung what we call the social costs of carbon. Napakalaki kasi ng greenhouse gas emission ng rice coming from methane and nitrous oxide when we grow rice in the field. Meron kasing sinasabi natin methane emission. 14% ng ating methane emission come from rice. So, wag na nating isama yung ganong computation. I did also a CPI corrected price of rice way back to its price in early 70s. Ang presyo dapat ng rice ngayon is already 115 pesos a kilo. Magkano lang ang presyo ng bigas ngayon? Kanina bumili ako ng bigas, yung medyo magandang quality na is 40 pesos. So yung medyo regular milled rice ay ranging from 34 to 35 pesos. So it's only 1/3 of its CPI corrected price of rice. Hindi ho siya umalalay doon sa what we call inflation. Walang nagawa doon ang mga magsasaka. We kept the prices of rice very low to feed the poor, alleged poor. And we also make farmers very poor. So, paano magkakaroon ng interest ngayon ang mga anak na magsasaka? Kagaya ko, I'm a son of a rice farmer before. Pero hindi sinabi sa amin, huwag na kayong mag-farming din. Kasi alam na namin yun eh. Na talagang, I don't know, bakit ang naging politika natin ganon. And then, if you are to associate doon sa figure na binigay ni Fermin Adriano, doon kami nag-agree ngayon na biglang tumaas ang populasyon natin. Thailand, for instance, in the early 60s, anong population lang niya? 30 million people. Halos ganun tayo. Ngayon, by 2022, Thailand is only about 70 million. Tayo, 113 million na tayo. Pagkadami-dami na natin. I also computed the ideal carrying capacity of the Philippines. Alam po ninyo, ang ideal carrying capacity natin is only 27 million or for short, 30 million. Okay? Kung nagkamali man ako sa computation ko ng 50%, so ang kayang-kaya natin pakainin talaga ay 60 million. We have 113 million or twice the comfortable carrying capacity. Anong gagawin natin dyan?
Wait, hang on. Number one, rice being the problem, the president maybe is being misled, President-elect BBM. Because he wants to bring it down to 20 pesos. Diba? That's one of the campaign promises.
Ang sabi ko po doon, it is an idiotic, moronic, whatever.
Go ahead, susumbong kita kay Marcos. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, hindi ho siya ang may kasalanan nun eh. Yung naggulong sa kanya eh. Yun ang idiot, yun ang moron. Okay?
Number two, Dr. Ted. Number two. Is it possible the staple food of the Filipino is wrong? It shouldn't be rice? Maybe...
Dalawang anggulo po yan. We are in a tropical humid environment. Marami tayong ulan, marami tayong waterlogged areas. Anong halaman ang pwede mong itanim dyan? It's only rice. Because rice is gifted with that nature's cell, which is what we call parenchyma cells. That allows it to breathe, to respire. Kaya nakakatubo siya under waterlogged condition. O, hindi tayo pwedeng magtanim ng mais kung waterlogged or sweet potato or gabi. Of course, the other problem with gabi or sweet potato, storage problem. Hindi ganun ang problema ng rice.
So we have no choice. That's why the staple food has become and remained rice.
It will remain rice. Pero alam po ninyo ang isang pang naging malaking problema, we are over-consuming rice right now. Okay? Earlier, ang consumption lang natin ng rice ay 95 kilograms per capita. Ngayon, tumataas tayo, 120.
Don't look at me. I don't eat rice.
Okay? Good and bad for you because you are not patronizing our nature's product in the first place.
No, I happen to love vegetables more.
Ang isa pang naging problema ho kasi, inaalis natin yung masustansya, yung nutritious portion ng rice natin, which is the bran. Okay? We milled rice so well. Ang gusto natin, well-milled rice or white rice. Nawawalan ho tayo ng 10%. ito kamimil ko lang, kakukuha ko ng aking palay na pinamil ko into brown rice. So, pag brown rice yan, nadihal lamang, walang whitening na sinasabi. Dalawang stages po kasi yung milling. Ang first phase, yun ang dihaling. The second phase is whitening. So, pag winighten mo, naalis yung bran doon, nawawalan ng 10%. Ngayon, why do we like well-milled rice? Masarap daw kainin. Tama nga naman, medyo malambot at so on and so forth as compared to brown rice. Okay? But that increase so much our consumption. Kasi kung magba-brown rice lang po tayo, hindi tayo makakakain ng 140, 120 kg per capita. Babagsak yan ng 80 kilograms per capita. At that level, we are more than self-sufficient in rice up to 2045. Na-compute na natin yan yung mga ganon. Kaso nga lang, ayaw kumain ng tao ng brown rice.
Is it education? Is it education or is it advertising?
Magkakasama ho siguro yan. Kultura na yan. Okay?
No. Hang on, when it comes to food security at nagugutom ka, culture goes out the window. I mean, you will adjust if you have to adjust. Di ba? I'm just saying. So, why can't we just be forceful enough? Because since the power comes politically, then the political upright should come down and say, hey, stop that. Di ba? Simple. It's like you're saying, the population has grown into whatever proportions, then let's blame the church. I mean, we should go back to population control again if necessary. Gee, China did it for how many years? And they're still growing anyway, but still, if that's the issue.
Yeah.
But
China did not adopt one-child policy in the early 60s. They must be 3 billion now. Imagine if you have 3 billion Chinese, so on and so forth.
Well, there you go. But then again, they have enough soldiers to charge any country, and it doesn't matter how many die, di ba? Because that's the case. No, but what I'm just saying is, if the end effect is poor direction, you can't blame culture, heritage. Hey, if that's the case, let's do it the right way. Bite the bullet, so to speak.
Harry, let me return back to my expertise, which is
go.
governance. When you say governance, it's always policy.
Yes.
Because the policy is the standardization of human action. No?
Correct.
So, pagka ang kultura natin nababago, it's because there are policies that are not into it. It's not supporting it. For example, I'm married to a Japanese. In Japan, the policy is magtanim ka ng palay, and sa kanila, yung mga biyanan ko doon, nagtatanim, hindi napuputikan. No? Kasi the government supports, so that is a policy. Second,
that's policy.
Kumbaga, protected yung price nila doon kasi as a matter of policy, the government will subsidize. Guaranteed ka na, nakikita ka. So, the farmers, the rice farmers are actually planting rice because they're guaranteed. No? So, what I'm trying to tell us here is that
there's politics there. Correct politics.
There is that policy issue here.
Yeah,
that actually is. See, we have that beautiful laws as Doc Ted has identified. But then again, what about the implementation? And they say, how can I implement if I don't have money? But look at the policy. Kung kaya nga natin bumili ng airborne fertilizer at saka water fertilizer na sa Senate bakit tayo bumibili ng ganon? Nasaan ang policy natin, Doc Ted? Diba? So ang tingin ko dito, tapos sasamahan pa ng educational system natin, no, na hindi tinuturo yung dapat kundi masyadong commercialized. Tapos yung ating mga mainstream media ang ipopromote for magaganda, puting rice, no? Wala na tayo, no? So, naawa ako sa mga scientists at advocates na katulad ni Doc Ted kasi kahit anong advocacy mo, kung ang policy does not go with you, because policy means money. Policy means these people will do it on the ground because they are mandated to do it. No, and then policy would mean educating and communicating. That's why we have PIO, we have Channel 4, we have Channel 9. But I think everything else is failing.
Okay. I'm not sure how many minutes. Can we keep going, or should I close the show? Ladies and gentlemen, let me go back to the purpose of this program. It's basically to introduce to you two experts in the fields and in their lives. You've got Dr. Edwin Monyares, who actually lives it, and Dr. Ted Mendoza in agriculture. Now, these two hosts are the real McCoy. They are not here to try and celebrate themselves, to introduce themselves, or to become popular. I don't think so. I've known them for some time, and all they're trying to do is to try and build a nation that will work. Now, join us in these programs that we are developing here in IDP, the purpose of which is not only to generate awareness, but to bring to you an understanding of how big and how much bigger the picture is, so that you will know, you will learn, instead of following these crazy sing-along and teleserye, whatever. Learn, improve, and be part of nation building. We are making an effort. We expect you to make an effort, because without you, what for are we all doing whatever we're doing? Anyway, we're going to end the show, but before we do that, Dr. Ted, your parting message.
Well,
Talk about your show. Talk about your show. You're going to be hosting shows very soon. But go ahead, please.
Despite all those challenges or difficulties I've mentioned, I think Filipinos, they're as pliable as the bamboo, as we call it. We can adjust to the situation. Sabi nga nila, pag may tiyaga, may nilaga. Yung mga magugutom, siguro ito yung mga sinasabi nating one tamad, naghihintay na lang bumagsak yung prutas sa kanya. So yun po. So ang kailangan po siguro dagdagan ng sipag at tiyaga, yung ang ating so meron din akong naisulat time to grow our own food, no, sa na pick up ng press din yon, no, na of course hindi lang naman ngayon siguro, ever since ganun na dapat. Ang isa pa kasing nangyari, while before about 95% of our population are growing their own food, ngayon bumaligtad na, wala nang 20% ang nagtatanim o sarili nilang pagkain. I term it in a different way. We have shifted our food growing culture to food eating culture. So it's high time that we have to go back to what I now call food growing culture. And we are lucky because 12 months of the year, meron tayong sunshine, ang temperature natin allows our crops to grow, unlike in temperate environment. 4 to 5 months lang ang kanilang growing period nila. Kung nasa Saksek, Awan, Canada ka, ang nila doon, it's a cool and very cool environment. So paano sila nag-overproduce pa ng sarili nilang pagkain? So it's because they have those culture to grow their own food and move for their people.
So we're going to be hearing a lot of that in your program, right, Dr. Ted?
Yes. The details, of course, later on. Maganda sana kung may magtatanong sa audience. So we make it interactive so we can answer questions immediately, mga questions that bugs their mind, bakit ganun ang nangyayari, anong pwedeng gawin, so on and so forth.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ted. Dr. Edwin, your parting message.
Yeah, so I'm so excited with this, Harry, that I can be part of this great show, that I can be hosting. I am maybe an expert of governance, so when you say politics and governance, and when we talk about governance, we talk about the state. So we talk about the people, our territory, we talk about our government, and we talk about our sovereignty. And when we talk about the government, it's actually is the agency of the state by which the will of the people, no, is formulated, executed. No, there goes with it. The systems are there. No, we have the national government, and with the systems that we have, understanding what is democracy, what is unitary, what is presidential. No, because if you don't know this thing, then you might be confused, like debating should it be federal or parliamentary. No, it's not a debate because a federal system can have parliamentary or presidential. Things are happening. Agriculture is affected. Health is affected. A lot of these sectors are affected. But at the end of the day, it's about your government.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard the two experts in the multiple topics that they will be expressing, talking about, discussing, and opening up. We hope you will tune in when this is all made available to you. And I'd like to thank Renz Padayon, who's the reason why we are able to come up with this program, and our floor director, Jasmine. Thank you very much, and to the group that's here. And maraming salamat po. And goodbye. See you again.